Hello, wonderful listeners, and welcome to our new section called How to Think in English with Como Digo. This is your host, Anna, and I'll be guiding you guys through a series of helpful strategies that you guys can use in order to start thinking in English. All right, so let's start with strategy number one. Strategy number one starts actually from the basics. And what we're doing here is trying to come up with as many words as we can in our target language, that means in English. So whenever you find yourself, stuck in traffic or commute, or maybe in the line of the supermarket or something, just try thinking on how to say different articles that you have around you or objects that you can see in English. So why are we doing this? So we're basically giving our brain the signal of trying to identify as many objects as we can in English, and that's gonna help us build confidence in a non-stressing situation, because nobody's asking us anything, or we're not forced to use the language in that particular moment. But what we're doing is just kind of practicing the language without having to answer something or without having to reply to someone, and that's going to remove the stressful part that sometimes appears when you're not a native speaker and you're like, I'm not sure how to say this, or I don't know if I'm saying it correctly. So yeah, that's gonna give you some practice in order to become more fluent. All right, so let's go with strategy number two. Strategy number two is talking to yourself. Yes, so I don't know you guys, but I do this pretty often. Like, you have this internal dialogue with yourself. So why not giving a chance to English to appear in our minds, in our internal dialogue, as I mentioned before, in order to practice all of the grammar that we know is there. Because sometimes I hear this from students that they would say something like, I know this grammar, but when I want to apply it into real things, when I want to have a real conversation, I just forget it, right? So this happens a lot. So what I'm trying to say here is, if you're having a conversation with yourself, well, put that grammar into practice, right? Because no one is gonna listen to your mistakes if you're, because sometimes we're afraid of making mistakes, and that's pretty dumb, I know, but we do it, and it's pretty normal. And because we're talking to ourselves, we can correct ourselves, and we're not gonna be embarrassed if we make a mistake, or it's not gonna get awkward, right? Because we're just talking to ourselves. So that's number two, just talk to yourself in English. So it could be things that you do, things that you're gonna do later, or maybe thoughts that you have, concerns, or maybe, I don't know, if you're counting something, you can also do it in English. Even the small things, they count. So try to make the most out of it. All right, let's go for strategy number three. Strategy number three is trying to receive as much input as possible. So you guys name it. If you guys want to listen to podcasts like this one, or if you guys want to watch your favorite series, or if you want to listen to music, try to do everything in English. And that's going to help you for sure, because even if you're not understanding each and every single word, I assure you guys will learn a lot of vocabulary from listening to a lot of English. Now, Another thing that is beneficial for you guys is that you get familiarized with the pitch, the intonation, the pronunciation of English, and that's gonna be a great tool for you guys in the future. Like, I'm sorry, my dog is barking. And I think that what's most interesting about this is that you're learning without even noticing, because you're not actually studying, because you're having fun, you're doing I don't know, whatever it is that you are doing. I don't know, you could be doing the laundry, you could be doing the dishes, exercising, I don't know, whatever activity you like. But also you're listening to the language that you want to learn, in this case, English. All right, so let's go for strategy number 4. Strategy number 4 is try to learn new things in English. So what I'm implying here is that you learn a hobby or something that you've always wanted to learn but never got the time to actually do it, and try to do it in English. All right, so this is, I mean, it's gonna be a challenge, but it's gonna make things even more interesting, because besides learning this particular hobby that you want to learn or skill, you're also practicing your English, you're learning new vocabulary, because every time that we learn something new, we have new concepts with that. We have a lot of different terms that are that come together with this hobby, and you will learn them from scratch in English. So that's a good thing. Now, the final strategy number 5. So what you're gonna do here is remove the anxiety of speaking another language. So a lot of this anxiety comes from, I know it comes from different things, but as I've asked students before, they've told me that sometimes they forget how to say a specific word, and it's not even a fancy word, it's just a regular word like pencil or spoon. But sometimes you just can't concentrate, or it's just not on your database and you simply forgot about the word. And that happens in your mother tongue too, in your native language also. But because we're doing it in the second language, we tend to judge ourselves pretty bad. So 2 tips for this. First one is try to explain that word with other words, right? So, for example, let's say that you forgot how to say microphone. So what you would do is like describe what it does. So you would say something like, oh, you know, I went to the store the other day to buy this thing that you use to record, a device. And so the other person is gonna try to guess, and they're gonna say something like, a microphone? Yes, that's right. And they're just gonna give you the answer. So you can do that, like try to explain the thing. Or the other option is just let it go, right? So sometimes we get too stressed because we're trying to think of this word, and it's not even to say it, or it's not relevant to say it. So if it's causing you too much of a trouble, either explain it or let it go, okay? And that's gonna remove some of the anxiety that we have when speaking in English. All right, so that was it for the strategies of how to think in English in today's episode. Remember that we will be uploading new episodes each month, so stay tuned and don't forget to subscribe. Have a wonderful day, night, or whatever time of the day it is. Thank you guys, and I'll see you on the next one.